The world has seen the rise and fall of many empires since the existence of humanity. And for past 70 years, America has been the most powerful empire dominating the world order with its status as a superpower. Becoming a superpower is a dream for many nations. The developing countries aim for the status because it helps them to project their dominance in the world. But what is the actual meaning of being a superpower country? What is its history and how does the country achieve this status? Let's understand it all. In 1944, it was the first time that the term superpower came in use after World War II. After the end of Second World War, the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union were the world's strongest remaining countries, forming a trio in the power struggle. As the British Empire collapsed shortly after the war, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in decades of competition known as the Cold War. During this Cold War, which lasted for 45 years, the world saw how two of the most powerful nations showed their capacity of global dominance through geopolitical influence, advanced military force, and their growing economy. And finally, after the collapse of Soviet Union in 1991, USA became the only superpower, making it the dominant player in the world order, which meant it had the most influence on what happens in the world after that. While defining superpower, Elise Lyman Miller, who is a researcher, writer, and professor known for her analysis of politics and foreign policy, says, in simple terms, a superpower is a country that has the capacity to project dominating power and influence anywhere in the world, and sometimes in more than one region of the globe at a time, and so may plausibly attain the status of global hegemony. With the world's largest economy, hundreds of overseas military bases, and leadership positions in various international institutions, the United States is an undeniable global power today. However, there has always been a debate between the experts on whether the current world order is unipolar, multipolar, or bipolar. According to some experts, since World War II, the world has been unipolar, while other experts such as Huntington believes that although the United States is the only superpower, the world is not unipolar but a multipolar system. By 2050, it is expected that more countries are likely to be defined as superpowers, joining the United States and creating a multipolar world order. It seems to be the reality because in the past few decades, the world has seen many regional and emerging powers. Regional powers have dominance and influence over other countries within a continent or region. Some of them are UK, France and Germany in Europe, Saudi Arabia and Iran in Middle East. Emerging powers are the countries which have a strong position in one or more of superpower characteristics and are growing their influence over the world. Some of the emerging powers are China, India, Brazil and Russia. According to the experts, there are few characteristics of a superpower country: size of the population, the size and location of the territory, military strength, economical strength, diplomacy, cultural influence across the borders, and abundance of natural resources. The military and economical strength are the hard power. A country can use both for a military invasion or putting economic sanctions or stopping trade to impact other countries' economy. And soft power is used to influence the behavior of people in the foreign lands with the help of its culture and diplomacy, which we will discuss further. A country's population is one of its most important assets to make it a superpower. However, population is like a double-edged sword. If used wisely, it can make a country the most prosperous nation. But if not used properly, it can become a country's biggest liability. Recently, India became the most populous country in the world with over 1.4 billion people surpassing China. And not just more population, but also a younger population is needed. In this case, again, India has a great advantage as its citizens' average age is 28 years old, which makes it more favorable for potential superpower. Young population means increased workforce and increased consumer base that will buy goods and services, and there will be more people who will build businesses, and all of this leads to increased economy and potentially higher GDP. However, if that large population is not healthy, educated, skilled, competent and productive, then it just becomes a financial load for the country. This is why it is said that population is a double-edged sword. On the other side, if there is low birth rate and the population is older, then there will be less people to work, consume and spend, which will affect the economy negatively. And upon that, with older population, the health expenses of a country also increases. There are few countries which are on their path to suffer losses from their declining population growth. Japan has been facing a population collapse in recent years due to which its growth seems to be stagnant. Similar thing is happening with China due to their one-child policy which lasted for 35 years. According to WHO, it is expected that by 2040, more than a quarter of Chinese, which is around 402 million people, will be over the age of 60 due to longer life expectancy and declining fertility. A lot of times, the contribution of the location of a country in its growth is understated, but a good location is very crucial for a country to grow in many areas. If a country is located along a major trade route or near a large market, then it can benefit from an easy access to potential customers and market for its goods and services. With having access to strategic ocean route, the exports and imports of goods through ships gets easier. A country's location can influence its climate and geography, which can impact agriculture, tourism, and other sectors. For example, a country located in a tropical region may be well suited for agriculture, while a country located near mountains or coastlines may be attractive to tourists. Another way good location helps is for the security of its borders and for having an advantage during wars. For this case, America has been blessed with the perfect geographical location as it only has two countries at its borders, Canada and Mexico, which are its allies. This kind of location prevents a country from any military invasion from its enemies. If there are mountains or it is located on an island, then it is difficult to invade, and it also gives the defending army plenty of time to prepare in a war-like situation. The geographical location also decides how many valuable natural resources will a country have, which helps their economy a lot. The military strength of a nation shows its capability to protect itself during border conflicts and win in major wars. As it is said, strength breeds peace. The more powerful the military of a country, the less threat they have of military invasion by the enemies. Few of the indicators of military power are army size, national defense spending, possession of nuclear weapons, size of the navy, being a major arms exporter, and if the country has a presence of its army in foreign lands. Whether a country is a military superpower or not is also decided by its ability to go full-fledged war in any condition, sometimes even having the capacity to fight against more than one nation at a given time. The size of the army is crucial as a large army size helps the military to sustain losses in a major war. Another important indicator of a strong military is its defense spending. To build a strong military, a country needs to have a huge budget to invest in arms technology, which increases its strength. This also makes the military power dependent on the country's economic power. War potential is a term used to understand the economic capabilities of a nation to wage wars. The logic of this approach is that power of a nation ultimately depends on the ability to win major wars, and doing that requires a big army backed by a large military budget and substantial industrial strength. Military studies also shows that the higher a country's GDP per capita, the more efficiently its military fights in battle. This is the reason a large part of a country's annual budget goes into defense spending. As more advanced weapons, arms, and technology is being used in direct conflicts in modern era, the more budget is needed to keep upgrading these technologies. Nuclear power is another indicator of a powerful military. Having nuclear weapons makes a country very dangerous to mess with. There are 9 nuclear countries in the world right now. Russia has most nuclear weapons, followed by America, and Russia and America combined have 92% of nuclear weapons. Sometimes the military of a country is not just used for its own security, but also to project its strength in other countries by having the military bases in the lands of their allies. One such example is America. There are roughly 750 US foreign military bases which are spread across 80 nations. Their military bases in Saudi Arabia and Qatar are some of their biggest and most important bases in the world. These bases are also used as a form of leverage by the nation in case of direct conflicts with other countries for launching their operations. Economy is a system through which a society organizes its resources, such as land, labor, and capital, to meet the needs and wants of its citizens, which involves production and consumption of goods and services. Economy is that pillar of a country upon which everything else depends. This enables the growth of every other dimension of a country's development. A country needs to have enough capital to invest in its healthcare, education, military, production, industries, building infrastructure, improving public services, and its economical condition shows how much capital a nation got to invest in these important sectors. A good economy also gives the country the ability to be less dependent on other nations for their own investments, which makes them less vulnerable to them. The recent example of this is Pakistan and Sri Lanka. We saw how due to its inefficient economic policies, it had to be dependent on China, which led to their economic meltdown. To build a strong economy, a country has to have a diverse range of industries and a high level of productivity. Businesses play a major role in development of the economy, so a country needs to make easy ground for businesses to build. Some of the common ways a country generates its capital is by producing and selling inside the country and exporting goods across the borders. Taxes are also a large part of government's revenue, so a country needs to have more earners. Right now, USA has the largest economy in the world with a GDP of $23 trillion. While making progress inside the borders, a country also needs to build strong relations with foreign nations. Here comes diplomacy, which is needed to build more allies, which helps to do trade with them or to take their support in times of crisis. At times of conflicts, diplomacy is the first solution. Once Adolf Hitler said, "When diplomacy ends, war begins." One thing to understand is that the military and economic power of a nation makes diplomacy more efficient for it. Good diplomacy helps to project influence in international affairs and have a say in those decisions. It is also believed that most large-scale military conflict will require either political support or military assistance. Cultural influence is the soft power used by a nation to influence the ideologies, beliefs, values, habits, and behaviors of the people across the borders in foreign countries. It can be done through media, cinema, music, sports, language, food, art, religion, fashion, television, education, infrastructure, through celebrities and tech companies. America has done a great job at this. The way their Western culture has influenced many people around the world, and their living standards has become the benchmark for a lot of people in foreign lands. This is why every year USA sees a lot of immigrants coming to their country for settling there, whether for work or studying in universities like Stanford and Harvard, two of their many popular educational institutions, which has also helped to spread America's ideology. Today, Western language, music, celebrities, sports, cinema, food, fashion, and its ideology has influenced a major part of the world. American food companies like McDonald's and Coca-Cola has popularized its products in many countries. American tech companies and social media apps like Meta, Instagram, Twitter, Microsoft, Google, Apple, and Amazon also have a major influence around the world. If we talk about the soft power of news networks in the political side, then we can see how Qatar launched Al Jazeera, a state-owned and funded news channel which today has more influence than the mainstream media channels even outside Middle East, while being the biggest news network in the region. The last factor that helps a nation to become a superpower is its ability to have natural resources in its land. Having an abundance of natural resources in its own land gives a country a lot of economic leverage, and upon that the country also don't have to rely on other countries for the same resources. How much of natural resources does a nation has? Again, it comes back to the geographical location point, which depends on where the country is located. These resources can be energy, mineral, oil, food, and other precious metals. The country can develop industries related to these resources, and such resources can be exported at a higher price and helps increase the export trade, which is essential for economic growth. For this, the region of Middle East is the best example. How oil has helped the countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar's economy thrive and made them a rich country, and upon that made them a strategic partner of other countries for their constant reliance on oil. Countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar can influence the energy prices around the world, and this gives them political leverage on the global stage. However, in some cases, few countries are not able to utilize their natural resources for their benefit. Also, when a country has an abundance of natural resources, its value increases, and if they don't know how to use it, then they may be susceptible to invasion or political turmoil by foreign countries who are more powerful than them. And upon that, if a country becomes too much reliant on that single resource to build their economy, that's not a good strategy. In order to have a long-term sustainable economic growth, country needs to diversify its economy and create multiple sources of income generation. For this, the city of Dubai is the prime example. Whereas other Middle East countries are reliant on oil for their economy, the government of UAE understood this clearly and turned Dubai into a business and tourist hub city, which has helped boost their economy. Upon these factors, the stability and competence of the country's government also matters, and also the internal satisfaction of the country's citizens is very crucial for the country to grow. If there is social unrest and riots going on between people, then it is very hard for the country to grow. In today's times, in order to become a powerful country, it also needs to have advanced technology, where everything is happening around the technological advancements, especially technology like artificial intelligence. If a nation fails to adapt to these advancements, then it is definitely going to fall behind in every sector, whether that is healthcare, education, military, business or job.
Повторю, искусственный интеллект – ресурс колоссальной силы. Кто будет владеть им, я уже об этом говорил неоднократно публично, тот вырвется далеко вперед.
Now you may be thinking, why does a nation need to become a superpower? Why not stay happy where we are? Becoming a superpower is not just about personal ambitions of a country, but it is necessary for long-term prosperity. However, there may be counter-argument against this, as a lot of ruling empires have fallen down in history. But on the path to becoming a superpower, a country becomes strong in all of the discussed dimensions, and this gives it a lot of leverage on the global level to ensure its safety for as much time as it can be. If a country is surrounded by other powerful or rising nations whose intentions are of expansionism, then it becomes more important to become a country with strong position in each dimension, which eventually makes a country a superpower, especially a large country like India. However, it also depends on the nation on how they use these benefits, as there are examples of countries who have tried to suppress other nations. But at the end, it definitely helps to defend against enemies on many fronts and not become vulnerable to others' evil intentions. It's better to make a country strong in every front and aim for dominance.